Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Ben Johnson. Ben is the co-founder and CTO of Uptitude. Uptitude is a consultancy that's done a wide variety of things. Yeah, see their logo right there if you're watching this on video right now. But two of the areas that I think we're going to kind of tweeze through today a little bit more is what they're doing in the automation space, and then also looking at how companies can do that more easily. Ben, excited to talk to you. But before we get into everything that Uptitude's doing, tell me a little bit about you.
So my name's Ben. I have a physics background actually, so I've got quite a logical mind. I did my time working in business where I kind of understood the basics of business and corporation. And what I learned there is a lot of problems are kind of very, very basic in nature for me. But I guess the one thing to say about me is I think slightly different to most people, whereas most people think they diverge into complexity. I generally go towards simplicity. And that's the same for a lot of things in my life as well as my business life. So I definitely think a little bit different from other people. And I try and use that and leverage it in business to the benefit of everybody. Because I think everybody should take what they're good at and what they're passionate about and utilize that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that I share that with you, Ben. There are people that somehow find ways to break things down into fragments and make them much more complex. And I'm always kind of trying to find, Occam's razor probably, and just going for the straightforward as much as possible. But, tell me a little bit about Uptitude. You've built this consultancy. What are you guys working on?
So we are working on pretty much two topics, which is the implementation and the vision of low-code applications. So what I mean by this is you have traditional software is built, and that takes traditionally a long time because you have to code everything from scratch. High-level programming languages are actually way more efficient. If you go back in time, we started off with machine code and then slightly higher level programming language, and slightly higher level programming language. And we kind of hit a top. We kind of hit a plateau with C++ and Java, where it didn't really evolve much further from that in the last 2 to 3 years. But what has evolved is a shift into low-code development, where previously you would be kind of doing lots of high-level programming. You might be dragging a box in. You might be taking a predefined item and pulling that into the app. And then it's low-code. You still have to do some code. But what that does is it really speeds up the development cycle. It makes it easier to test. And the thing that I think gets lost as well is it's not just faster to create, it's faster to fix when things go wrong, and it's faster to maintain in general and upgrade.
Yeah.
And that's what really causes disruption in business. Is, if you know something's going to take a year, that's fine, you can plan for it. But when something goes wrong, you want to fix that as soon as possible. And low-code applications does that much faster and much more efficiently than traditional programming. So that's the low-code part.
Yeah.
And the second part we have is that we are automating computer problems. So we believe that there are still a large number of businesses, global businesses, that haven't realized that they're human problems because of the scale of data that's just escalated up. Human problems have now become computer problems, because we have too much data where we would traditionally be managing that. So let's take tracking our online presence. So previously 10 years ago, that might have been a couple of websites and maybe Facebook. Now you've got thousands of web pages, thousands of posts, thousands of videos. These human problems have now become computer problems. So what we do is we provide products and services to solve and automate these computer problems.
I love it. I think that that's such a needed solution. I'm a big believer of I would say, need-specific or demand-specific solutions like that are automated, because I think it reflects actually the change in the customer. It's something that we haven't really talked about on Uncaged, but is really kind of an important one, which is, Ben, your generation grew up probably never having to talk to anybody about anything. You know, you went online, you pulled something down, you built it, you went forward, you use an app. And I think that we're really seeing that applied to business now, no?
I think, I mean, if you look at a lot of the people in business and in consultancies, the percentage of learning that's now done non-traditionally is just huge.
Yeah.
And so now they're willing and able to get this learning online for free, by the way. And a lot of the time, it's much more effective than if you are going to traditional learning, because you can choose the person or the medium, it's just most applicable to you. So the speed of learning is increased, the price has dropped to near zero. And that means that now we have a workforce who have a huge, diverse range of skills. So they can actually now leverage low code solutions, for example, and they can start doing this themselves and not requiring as much support from third parties. So part of the work we do, yes, we do low code development, but we also help companies understand how to do it themselves so that eventually they don't need us. I mean, that's the ideal future, right?
Yeah, it's well, clearly I can see how this is applicable in so many situations. And I love the fact that you and the team are building out these, because we haven't spoken a lot about this and it's a very valuable area. But tell me a little bit about your take on this, which is today in the business landscape, what companies are really gravitating to these automated and I'd say low code solutions and making the most of it?
I think it's a progression of something which has always happened. It's been happening forever, and especially in the technology space in the last 20 years. We are always on the path to be more efficient. We always need to do things faster. We need to make things easier because we have this human drive to do that, right? You know, ever since we were kind of back in the day, we kind of thinking, all right, this meat, it tastes good, but how would this taste better if I cook it? How could I get more? Or maybe I'm going to set up a farm. So we fast forward to today, and we are just doing the same as we've been doing for the last, thousands of years, but in a different way. So for low code solutions and automation, we're now just continuing to say, well, how do we accelerate the development? How do we make it easier? How do we make things kind of much more adaptable in terms of if something goes wrong, we can fix it very quickly, because these are the problems that we're seeing in the business today. And the problem is, as you fix problems, it's like whack-a-mole, new ones come up. And with new technology, new problems come up. So it's never going to end. There's always going to be problems to fix, which is why I think I'm always going to be in business, because without problems, I would be, as you said, I would be kind of out of business, at home, maybe outside with my feet up. But I really enjoy the challenge of solving today's problems in business.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's something that's kind of interesting, which is that when you see these massive projects that are not low code, but maybe heavy code, and they're very customized, man, are they riddled with challenges going forward. I can't tell you how many of those projects where I see how expensive it ends up being for companies, right? Because as they want to iterate or change, then you have to go back to the original structures, and
it's a stereotype, but I think it's quite a real stereotype from the people that I've engaged with and the different companies I've engaged with, where there is this model of come and use our software, and the pricing, it's kind of a certain level, and you say, yeah, sure, and you configure your systems, everyone moves over to this large central enterprise software, but the inevitable happens. We need to change things. We need extra capability. We need it now. We need it yesterday. The problem is then you're committed to this piece of software, and that is really where the prices start to hike up with these changes, these modifications, these last minute adjustments. And there is this frustration I'm feeling in business at the moment, where they know they don't like this situation, and they desperately want a different way to develop applications, which gives them more control, which makes it faster and easier to do so in terms of build them, and makes it faster and easier to actually modify them. And that's where I love to come in with the message, I would say, of low code development, because that is the option. If you feel like the only option is traditional programming, these huge pieces of software that are a lot of the time very complicated, without reason. Low code solution is a way of creating custom applications for your company very, very quickly. So usually people hear the word custom application and they're like, that's going to be very, very expensive. And that was the case even 2-3 years ago. But now the technology has shifted to the point where you can have your own custom application and it will be cheaper than off the shelf, which is a real shift, I think, in mentality. But it's a real excellent opportunity for business.
Well, let's change gears a little bit here because Ben, you're a passionate guy. You're talking about something that companies are embracing, a new trend, but I always try to get a sense of how someone got there. How is this the area that you're focused on? And, what gets you up in the morning to keep on going on this stuff?
For anyone who's listening who might be kind of younger in their 20s or something, 25, even up to 30, I didn't find out what got me out of bed in the morning. Like really, I didn't understand what got me out of bed in the morning until I would say at least 10 years into my career. Right. And I don't know how that resonates with you, but I know a lot of other people where it took maybe 20 years for them to understand. And 10 years into my career, I really started to ask myself the question, why do I get up in the morning? Like literally that was the question I asked. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned it. Because it's a good question. And after 10 years, you've been doing this for a long time and you say, well, what's the point? And I realized there's two factors that really get me up in the morning and get me into work excited. The first one is actually helping people. So I realized that when I helped people and I saw that I'd made their lives easier and they just smiled and said, thank you, that really made me feel better because I in that day, I've made someone happy. Yeah. And that simple joy is really a motivator for me. But the second important part of this coin is I like to solve interesting problems. So as long as I can find interesting problems to solve and those problems help people, I'm going to be happy every day.
Yeah, I love that description, Ben. What a great way to phrase that. It is true that joy that you have coming up with a solution for people and companies and moving them forward down a path is key. And then also kind of staying fresh with new challenges. And guess what? I think with all these new technologies that we have coming down the pike right now and getting scaled, there's never going to be a shortage of this stuff. And I guess that kind of really leads into my next question, which is, as we think about what is down the pike here and what companies are going to have to embrace, what does the near future look like for you guys?
So for us, we've still got the strategy to continue on low code development. The market is huge. So this will take a long time for businesses to realize the opportunity for the larger vendors of software to start losing contracts as the move towards low code development increases. And we will be there. We'll be there helping people understand low code applications, helping them develop low code applications, and helping train their people to develop and maintain them themselves. So this is the core part of our business. The second part that we're moving into is because now we're starting to really understand more and more problems, business problems, and these problems start to be the same across multiple businesses. We are now moving into the situation whereby, well, why don't we package this up into a product and a service, and then we can help even more people. So one of the reasons I went to the business with my co-founder, Eugenia, who's a behavioral therapist, is because I am an ideas person. I'm very ideasy. The double-edged sword is, you need to deliver those ideas. So now I've got a huge team of people around me where I can come up with these good ideas. I can throw it off to somebody and trust that they will deliver that back, which means I can have a much bigger impact on the world, which is fantastic. So we're going to be developing more products and services because really then we can start to scale our impact. At the moment, if it's just me, I can sit in front of one person and help one person at a time. If I can create a product and a service, then I can scale that massively and help hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people. And that's where I want to go. I want to magnify my impact in the world.
I love it. I think that that's a great way of describing this stuff. Ben, if someone wanted to learn more about what you and the Uptitude team are doing, where's the best place to reach you?
Reach me on LinkedIn. If you want to search for Ben Johnson, Uptitude, come and message me on LinkedIn, not a problem. We can also see Uptitude in LinkedIn. That's where we have most of our most of our pages, most of the news we update. But we do have the website, obviously, uptitude.co.uk. But if you're interested in anything I've said, please look me up on LinkedIn, message me, let's have a conversation.
Well, we've been talking with Ben Johnson today, and we've been talking about his business Uptitude consultancy that really develops low code and automated solutions. It's been amazing to talk to you, Ben. I definitely feel like people are just kind of starting to scratch the surface of this area. You're absolutely right. I feel that so many times I have too many people that want too many custom things, and they're not really realizing that the market's kind of moved past that now. But Uptitude seems like a great place for people to start. So thank you so much for sharing with us today about what you're working on, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Ben. Happy Friday.
Cheers.